What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect. Please, guys, if you want to check out the link in the description and join our Patreon page, you guys will get some awesome benefits like the early access to 24 to 48 hours before the episode releases publicly and to get shout outs on the actual podcast. So please go check that out. Be a supporter of the Imperfect brand podcast and overall movement. Thank you guys so much. So let's jump into our guest. We have Evelyn Vollmer on the set. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You ready? You ready to talk about some tech hype?
I'm super excited. I've been waiting for weeks now.
I know. We scheduled it forever ago, and I'm like, let's get you on.
Let's get it. Let's do it. Now here we are.
Here we are. We're about to get it. I'm excited. So, Evelyn, tell us what your degree is and what your job is as well.
So I'm actually a mass communications major. I am doing the emphasis of graphic design. Since the university that we're going to doesn't have a 3D modeling program, that's why I chose this one. And then it's also a degree that's really versatile, and I like marketing, I like advertising, even the news. So it's like a great degree for that.
Right.
Then I work at the museum, Idaho Museum of Natural History, and then in a subsection of that, the Idaho Virtualization Lab. It's very wordy, but I work as an intern there, and so we do all kinds of stuff. We do 3D scanning of fossils, 3D printing. We work with museums all over the place, and it's what we do.
That's awesome. That's exciting. So graphic design, that sucks we don't have it. Have you looked around anywhere around here that has 3D modeling?
Pretty much everywhere that I could go is really expensive, and I'm really relying on financial aid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Same.
I'm like, I gotta get the undergrad, and then maybe I can think about doing grad school, but that's a bridge for later.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because grad school you can get like more narrow, but graphic design is like a really sweet spot because graphic design, like you said, fills everything from like lower thirds on videos to like titles and thumbnails, and I mean there's just tons and tons of things.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. So how did you like get involved with this job though that you got? Like how did it come around, or were you already into the 3D modeling phase and then you were like looking how did that all gonna play out?
It's like a really long story, but when I was in high school, I was involved in this program with Trio, and they do like Upward Bound. So during the summer you go and take classes and stuff so you can get ahead, or you can make up classes. I was using it to basically get ahead. So by the end of my senior year, I had like half of the credits for freshman year of college. So during that senior year, they'll give you an opportunity to choose an internship around ISU. And I really liked history at the time, so I was like, the museum probably sounds like a good spot. So then I asked them, and they were like, sure, yeah, we love free labor.
That's
so
awesome.
Then they hired me there, and I worked in the gallery, I worked in the collections, I worked in education. They like passed me around the whole summer. So then when I graduated high school, I hit them up again, and I was like, hey, do you guys remember me? And they were like, yeah, you did a great job. So then I worked in education with them for my first years of college, and then I ended up having some differences, but then they still wanted to keep me, so they asked me to end up going to the IVL, which was just like an absolute fluke. I just happened to end up there, and like all throughout like the first 2 years of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Right.
And like I knew that I liked art, but I always was told like you can't make money with art. It's just a dumb dream to ever have. Yeah. So then I ended up working there and really loving it, and I'm intuitive with computers, so I ended up working with 3D modeling software and ended up like really, really loving it. So we use ZBrush and Polyworks, Geomagic, all kinds of stuff, but mainly ZBrush. So that's what I ended up doing a lot of my projects on. And the first thing that they gave me was like, hey, we have this dinosaur from Wyoming that we need scanned, and then they want made 3D printed and on exhibit for them. And I was like, I've never used this software in my life.
That's crazy.
They were like, well, you can do it. So
how do you scan something like that?
So we have these 3D arm scanners. If anyone is listening and happens to know, they're Faro arm scanners. Basically you can hold them and like scan over your object, and it takes a laser scan of your object, and like we'll make a point cloud that will then be in your computer, so then you can mess around with that and have your model and manipulate that. So they gave us this fossil, and they were like, well, we need this scanned, and it's too big to CT scan this, so CT scan will actually get the inside of the fossil.
Oh, gotcha.
So we did the surface scan on it, and then I masked out all of the parts were actually bone, and then made a separate model based off of other troodonts that are related to this dinosaur. And then we put it all together and made that model. I actually have one in my little
Let's
bucket
pull
over
it
here.
out. What you got?
So,
From her secret box, what you got?
so this is Lori from Wyoming. You can see.
So you 3D printed this?
Yeah, 3D print, and like that's it's a mix of the actual fossil in there and then my model.
Wow, that's incredible. How long does it take to 3D print something like this?
So I think that was like 10 hours to print it.
10 hours for this?
Yeah, and that's really not that much.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was made with a resin printer, and I was kind of telling you about that the other day, but the way that this works is there's a vat of resin, and then in there, underneath it is a laser that will cure on this pad that you have on top that will pull out of the vat of resin.
Right.
It's like really complicated to try to explain it, but pictures will make it easier, so I can show that to you. But
Sweet.
you can see on there where the actual fossils molded into it because it's like the rougher areas versus the smooth stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so we were working with the researchers on that one, and I emailed them, and I was like, so do you know how many teeth this thing has? And they were like, well, we have guesses. And I was like, oh, well, how many do you think there are? And they were like, just make it fully toothed.
Fully toothed.
So it's like,
That's nice. That's nice. So when you get like because you got a fossil for this, right?
mm-hmm.
So when you get a fossil, obviously things like like it probably takes research to find out like all that crap, like with the.
Yeah, I can show you what that actually looked like. And then the funny story with that, it was found in I think 2001. And
That exact fossil.
Mm-hmm. And they were actually digging up a Supersaurus, so one of the biggest dinosaurs, and someone had a shovel and was digging and checked a whole chunk of rock, and then they were like, ah, shit, that was fossil. And so they ended up breaking part of the skull block, but this is the actual CT scan of the skull.
Wow. That's crazy. So yeah, I was about to say they don't come in all pretty like that.
No.
So you have to.
Yeah, and then this one they had 65% of the skeleton on that.
65%.
Yeah, which is pretty high.
So what does that mean when like the skeleton?
So they have. So here I can orient you a little bit better on this. So here is the teeth, and this right here would be the eye, and then in this area is the oh my gosh, the femur, and then the tibia. Wow. Yeah, so it's got like the leg areas there, and then yeah, so it does not look pretty coming out of the rock.
It doesn't come out all pretty. So you have to scan it, and that's where you'll go into the software and actually build the model. And then you say it takes about 10 hours. Is that software expensive?
Oh, well, okay, on the scale of things, not really, but ZBrush cost, I think, $800.
Okay.
But other 3D modeling softwares will, like, cost you a lot of money. The CT scanning, processing, I think is, like, I want to say $10,000 for just the software, and ours is, like, from 2012, so it's super outdated.
So because you said you got kind of, like, thrown into, like, this whole 3D modeling world, when you did that, like, did they train you on this, or do you kind of, it's like a play-in, kind of like, you know, like Premiere or something, you kind of just like have to learn how to edit, or what?
So we, at the lab, we're all pretty buddy with each other, and it's kind of, it's like, we all kind of are friends with each other and give each other a lot of shit. Good. So
any good job.
Yeah, so they were like, figure it out. And I got help from Jesse Pruitt, who's my manager, and yeah, he was like, you're gonna figure it out. So we ended up doing that, and this took me probably like 9 months to get the whole model done.
Wow. 9 months for
Yeah, and then so there's the skull, and then I did the rest of the skeleton too. So that's what this guy is. Oh my gosh, sorry.
You're good. Ooh, that is interesting. Wow. Did you 3D print the whole thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's on display too, and I have a picture of that as well.
So what do you got it on display at?
That is the museum in Thermopolis, Wyoming, the Wyoming Dinosaur Center.
Wow.
Yep. Let me find the picture. Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
Maybe I don't have it. Oh wait, there it is. So this is what the exhibit looks like.
Oh, nice. Nice. So when you 3D print, are you the one to like? So Some of the 3D prints, are they the people that do the research and come up with these signs, logos, names, descriptions too,
Okay,
or?
so it's kind of a very collaborative process. So there's Dean Lomax, Bill Wall, and then another lady that I cannot remember her name. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
That did the research paper on it. So they've been working on that since 2001, writing all of the descriptions and everything of all of the bone. Then they had to have some prep team take all of the make sure that the rock looks as good as possible. So right there is actually that's how big the whole skeleton is. That's
That's
actually
insane.
a fossil. So
Wow.
yeah, it took quite a process of all of that. So we got to go in July. They did the opening, so we got to go to their like press release
Right.
thing, and they talked about the whole process, and it's it's a lot
It's
that goes into
complicated.
each thing.
So yeah, because you said when you found that fossil, it was all broken up. It wasn't put together. When they are done scanning it, do they try to put it back together, or is it kind of preserved, or what happens
So
with the original
it's
fossil?
we don't mess with the fossil at all. Like it stays in the box, and that's how we scan it. And so
Oh, really?
yeah, so there is the cool thing about it is there's no damage to the actual fossil when you're doing something like that. Some processes you actually have to take part of the bone and destroy it for research,
Whoa.
which it does sound like harsh saying that, but you learn so much
Right.
about things. So like they had a nano tyrannosaurus, quote unquote, that they did that on, and they realized, oh, this isn't nano tyrannosaurus. This is actually just a juvenile T-Rex. So,
Right.
and they found that out because of being able to scan the bone, or not the scan, but the bone, but test the bone and see
Oh,
how like
gotcha.
the density and all of that. But
Right. So where is it common? Do you know where they are they're finding these bones or digging up these bones? Is there just like areas, or they just kind
yeah, so certain areas of the world are like at a different layer in the fossil record. So Idaho kind of sucks for dinosaurs.
of? Oh,
So
that sucks.
so we have mammoths, which are pretty cool. So we're in the Pleistocene area usually around here, and then dinosaurs get covered up by the lava flow in craters of the moon. So we don't have a whole lot of that. But we have Eryctodromius, which we actually modeled. That was a whole thing. You can ask me about that one later.
Right.
But in Wyoming, they have the Morrison Formation. So that's where you find these guys. It's actually in correlation with the Supersaurus as well. Utah has all kinds of good fossils. Like I really want to work at their museum because they've
Wow.
got such good formations and stuff out there.
That's incredible. Have you ever been out fossil hunting?
A couple of times I went to Wyoming to, oh my gosh, the Green River Formation. So we were actually looking for fish fossils.
Oh, cool.
I found a couple of them, but I ended up just giving them away.
It's like, here you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's kind of wild too. So, is it universities that tend to go fossil hunting and 3D printing, or is there like actually programs
So
above
there's a,
university museum level?
so it depends on where the land is. So if it's BLM land, then you have to have permits and talk to people to end up having to go out there and excavate stuff. But if it's on private land, you have to go through the landowner, or they could do it
Right.
themselves. So it's it's a real pain in the ass.
It sounds like a pain in the
Uh-huh.
ass. It sounds like about to say it because it's like, I mean, these are like this is history. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was like a kind of government restriction or something because I feel like you'd pull that out and the government's like, we need that. Sorry,
hmm
like, is there anything like that, or if you find it, you keep it type thing?
So some people, I can't remember the area, the place, or any of this, but I've heard the stories of it. This dude found a T Rex, and he has it in his private collection, and he's trying to sell it. But if things are sold or they're in a private collection, the greater of the paleontology community have agreed for some reason that those then can't be studied for science, which is idiotic to
Wow,
me.
that's weird. Wouldn't you sell it to a scientist or something?
You could, but museums don't have the money to usually
Oh, I
buy
guess that's
those.
true, huh?
So one cool thing, there's Archaeopteryx, which is a transitionary dinosaur from dinosaurs to birds, and there's I think 5 of them in the world. But this dude in Wyoming owns one of those, and
Really?
so he ended up letting his be on loan at this museum that I'm talking about, and so
Mm.
that's then available to science.
Oh, okay. So it's like that
So
process.
if the person who owns the fossil is like just generous and willing to let that happen, then they will. But yeah, it's like it's crazy too because these like the fossils that are in museums are owned by the collective of everyone, and
Mm,
so therefore they should be available to everyone. But
right.
sometimes they're too fragile to be on display, or museums don't have the funding to actually do that. So that's where my job comes in. So we do 3D scanning of these things, and then we
Right.
make them available to the public.
Okay.
So then they're available for research and all of that good
Yeah, so
stuff.
you can actually public display them because, like you said, you can't have. And that's interesting. It makes a memory pop in my head. I went to Vegas and I went to the Titanic and Bodies Museum, and they had a piece there in the Titanic Museum that was like the largest piece of the Titanic. It was like the largest piece they were able to pull up from the original Titanic, and had this whole story. Like they tried to bring it up 3 different times, and the strings would break because it's like so huge, you know. But they finally did get it out, and when I was reading it, it said it's only on display there for, I think it said like a couple more years or something, and then it's going. So is it common for people or companies, whoever owns a piece of art, to give it and distribute it to different museums for a certain time? So like they'll have it for a while, they'll pull it back, sell it, or I don't even know. Do they sell it or do they just let them show it? You know, is it kind of
It
just
kind of is a case by case basis. Funny story. So in Idaho, we're famous for helicoprion. So they're these funny teeth whirl of these fossil sharks.
right?
It's what our museum's really famous for. And somewhere in Idaho, someone was selling fossils illegally, and so this dude was trying to get into Canada with one of these helicoprion fossils, and when he was crossing, they were like, "You don't have the right documentation for this. Like, you can't
Oh
have
man,
this." And so they took it from him, and then he paid like $80,000 for this.
wow.
And then they were like, "Ah, Idaho Museum of Natural History. This is your thing. Do you want these?" And so he
And so
gave
you
it to us.
luckily got it. How do you illegally have fossils? Like,
So it depends how you collected them, because this one was from public land, so that belongs to the collective. It was not found on private land, so it did
oh,
not belong to the person that originally grabbed it.
right.
So he sold it illegally, and then so this poor dude that paid a crap ton of money for it, like,
That sucks.
ended up being in the middle of it. But he knew.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, I was about to say. I mean, if he doesn't have the documentation,
yeah,
he's
and if you're
obviously
buying these things, like you probably know.
right. That's crazy. That's
Mhm.
interesting. So if you have, so basically though, if you find it on your own private property, something and it's your fossils, you have the right to do whatever. Like you said, donate to science, sell it, things
Mhm.
like that, right?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting. So you say you have you 3D print all these models to showcase inside of museums. Do at the current museum, because right now we just did a, you guys do you call it like a refresh or something where you like switch it out every
Just
6
switching out
months,
exhibits. Yeah.
right? So when you did that, is there anything real in there? Because I haven't been through there yet, but
So right now our exhibit, they have a couple of taxidermy things, but the whole idea of it, so it's in the shadows, and it's supposed to be like all of the things that are in your background, or the like your backyard that you don't really think about,
right here in
but they're
Idaho,
like
right?
they're possibly helping you. So we have this gigantic printed wolf spider, and then a yellow jacket getting eaten by him. And
Whoa.
I ended up I made the yellow jacket, and then my boss did the
Spider.
and then we all helped with painting and printing and all of that. So the spider took like,
I was about
I
to
would say
say
like 3 months of printing.
3 months. Oh, to
Yeah.
print the
Yeah,
thing,
just
to
printing.
print. So how long did it take in preparation to actually make the model? Because you said sometimes you get the fossils that are destroyed, but with a spider, I'm sure, I mean they're everywhere, so you can just kind of grab one and.
So there's a difference between the two. This one was based partially off of my model, partially off of a fossil.
Right.
The spider was completely a digital sculpt, so it
Oh,
didn't
really?
actually end up taking as long because it wasn't so much collaborative.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
he was able to just look at wolf spiders and make
Oh,
the
so is there
model.
like templates online type thing that you can kind of just?
No, I was just using reference material.
Oh, gotcha.
So I mean, how artists like look at people's eyes to draw an eye.
Oh, so they kind of just like
Uh-huh.
build it inside the thing by.
Mhm.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I did that with the spider. I actually have a mini version of him too.
Yeah, please pull them out. I got a mini
Or not the
version.
spider, the yellow jacket.
Yeah,
So
that's
this
cool.
one, this one's what I made.
Yeah, let me see it. That is wild. How long does it take to something to print like this guy?
That one took like 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah. So
Really?
not too bad.
That's crazy. I keep like when you hear printing and you hear 2 days, it doesn't sound right. You know, because you're
Yeah.
like printing is supposed to be.
I think
Interesting.
I'm a little numb to it now, where I'm like, we took like a long time to do
Yeah,
the spider.
that spider 3 months, huh?
Yeah.
So here's a really important question. It doesn't print in one piece, right?
No, so for example, this one printed in 2 pieces. So or actually no. I did the legs separate. So I did this one was a piece, this one was a piece, and then the thorax, this area, and then this were all separate. So just happened to take a little bit, or didn't take as long because we have multiple printers.
Right.
So I can have things going at the same time.
So so when you get all the pieces together, do you glue it, or is there like some kind of certain way you do it?
So it depends. You can make like a little like a shiv kind of thing between one model to another. So that one kind of has like a puzzle piece kind of thing to make them go together. Then you just glue it and put it together.
I was about to say, so because when you print it, you have to probably keep that in mind, right? Or before you print it, when you build it, you want to try to make those things happen so it does fit in together.
Yeah, like our spider, each of those legs have an area for like a little metal bar to go through so that it'll connect and be structurally sound. Oh, wow. So it's like a lot of thinking when you're actually putting it all together.
Interesting. That is crazy. So on top of all of that, though, because you get it printed, you have to paint it. Is it kind of the same thing, eyeball to eyeball, when you go in and actually just paint the whole thing? Or?
And then our lab, we just are blessed with really artsy people, so we can do that by ourselves usually.
Do you ever have to outsource any part of any of this?
Usually, no.
Really, just do the whole thing, beginning to building the thing, 3D modeling, and.
In our lab, like the only place in the world that's comparable is the Smithsonian.
Really?
And even then, like we do a lot more than what they do, and they end up contracting through lots of people. They contracted through us for their new exhibit, The Deep Time. So we Tim Gomes made the Anomalocaris, and then there was the Dimetrodon that we were talking about. Jesse and I collaborated on doing that. So then that's printed and on display there as well.
And where is that?
The Smithsonian in Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Like, did you just like make work that got sent up there?
So it's kind of word of mouth that stuff ends up happening. They contact us. They go, hey, can you help us out with this? Because they were kind of behind schedule on getting this thing out.
Right.
And so they were like, please help
us. Yeah. So you're like, all right, we got it. Start building.
Like, we can do that.
That's interesting. So is this like an intern job, part-time job?
So I'm actually an intern.
Intern. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So am I.
During the summer, I worked full-time, but since it's the CPI program, I can't. I'm basically doing the job of a full-time person.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know, it seems like a lot of work, but you enjoy it. So is this something that you want to pursue after college?
I would really love to work in something like this.
So like maybe a museum setting? Or?
I would really like to work for the Natural History Museum in Salt Lake. I think they have got the money to be able to do these kinds of
like
projects.
The big...
And then, and they've got dinosaurs, so that's really cool.
And then they got the dinosaurs. I was about to say, so being a part of behind the scenes of all of this, are you an ongoing like museum goer?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Like any time that I'm in a different place, I'm like, let's go to the museum.
Let's go to the museum and see what they got. That's crazy. Have you been anywhere awesome or unique?
I think Thermopolis, their museum was really cool.
Where at?
I mean, the one that this one was at.
Oh, gotcha.
And I always shit on Wyoming because, like, I have this friend that I make fun of her. I'm like, there's only 5 people that live there. That there's only 5 people confirmed that live in Wyoming.
Oh, God.
But that museum is really cool, and it's in the middle of nowhere, but people go to it because it's got such awesome fossils.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you kind of a natural history type person, or do you kind of visit like the tech or modern or spaceships or whatever type of museums?
Pretty much anywhere that I'm like, there's a museum, I gotta go.
There's a museum, right? Get into it.
I love learning about all of that kind of stuff. So the Leonardo Museum in Salt Lake, we went to that, which was really cool. And so they talk about all like aerospace and all of that. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's always fun to go to like a new place, learn new things.
Yeah. I just know the most about dinosaurs.
Right. Cause that's okay. I got you. So have you ever thought about getting like a history minor or something to kind of back that up?
Maybe. I mean, it's pretty easy at ISU. So maybe. That's what we're making for the video classes. John has me making a history video for our history department. Yeah. So you should join. Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. I know we went to California at one point, and we went to a couple museums, and the museum, like it's crazy how many museums can be so unique and niche, but have so much great things. Like
it's,
so getting all interested inside of all of that.
Yeah, I really want to go to the Smithsonian. Like, I've never gotten to go.
In Washington, right?
So, like, I want to just plan a trip where I just go through those museums.
That'd be so wild.
Yeah.
That'd be so wild.
Yeah.
So when do you graduate?
I graduate fall.
Oh, this fall. Oh, wait. Okay, this fall. Gotcha.
Yep.
Any plans? Can you still work here after you graduate?
We'll see.
Maybe.
Want to hire me?
You know how it is. Keep her hired. Keep her
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. The whole problem with the museums is that they just don't have enough funding.
Right.
So they're relying on interns to do these projects. The IVL has all of the technology to be able to do this stuff. So the scan arms that cost $80,000 each, we have those, but we just don't have enough money to really pay for employees.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, I probably have to go somewhere else, but I would love to stay.
Right. And kind of keep growing and building upon that. Because I think it'd be really interesting to go fossil hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be exciting.
I'm always super excited when I actually get to look at a fossil because I'm always doing it on the computer.
Right. So like actually physically seeing it.
Yeah. So we went to Dino Fest. That was, oh my gosh, January? I think so. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Right. My year is just already blending.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So we did Dino Fest and we were presenting there. And then, so basically what they do, it's at the Natural History Museum in Utah. And they open up their collections for everybody to see. They'll show you actual fossils. You can touch it and everything. Like it's super cool. So I walked through that and I was like, these are so awesome.
Right.
As I'm like presenting on stuff that they're like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. My favorite museums are the ones that you can like touch things. It's
you
know, like
when
this.
It's real.
It's like you and like 5 8-year-olds, you know, and you're all like, yay! Like,
yeah, you're like it's a fossil.
Oh, this is so crazy.
Yeah, but that's another cool thing about our job. We've 3D printed like a full scale plesiosaur skull that's for education purposes. If that ends up getting broken or some kid like pulls a tooth off of that, no one's gonna be super sad.
Right.
Like, that can get reprinted again and like cost us $5.
Right, and that's something I was going to talk about is kind of elaborating on that 3D printing costs. How much was that 3D printer that you have here at the museum?
Okay, so we've got a couple of printers. So we have a Raptor 2, which is $1,500. And then so we have 2 of those, and then we have our huge format printer, the 3D platform, I think is what it's called. And that one was, I think, $50,000. So that was expensive.
$50,000?
If lot of money.
That's an expensive printer.
So then we have a resin printer, and I think we're gonna end up buying another one soon. But the resin printer was like $1,000.
Right. So explain to me again what the different or what is the actual like material that is the, I would say, ink or whatever you call it, like the resin.
Yeah. So this right here is resin, and you can see that you can tell this is resin because there's not print lines on there, and it's a very solid model. One of these. Then there's this one, which is just a fun little floppy dinosaur thing. But that was done on an FDM printer, which is the fancy hot glue gun. Basically goes around and makes a layer and layer of your model. But those ones aren't super great for research quality because they've got the layer lines on there.
Oh, you can see them. Interesting.
But it's great for like kids or if you don't care about that getting like messed up.
So is one cheaper than the other?
So that one's actually cheaper, but it's not actually significantly cheaper now. Because this one was an SLA printer, and now they have just it's like some sort of light. I can't remember what it's called, but basically the resin's cheaper for those printers, and that's the one that we're gonna buy now. So
how much ish is it? So
you're buying liters of these, so each liter is probably $20.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's really just a printer. Mm-hmm. So because you mentioned that you actually have a printer at home.
Yeah.
So you bought a 3D printer.
Yeah. So after making this guy, I was like, I want one.
I want one.
So then I did my research, and there's printers that you can buy that are like FDM printers that are like $200.
No way.
So then I was like, okay, I'll pay a little bit more for the resin because I like the models that are like very solid and don't have the print lines.
So do you have the name of it?
It's the Phantom S. Yeah.
Phantom. How much was it?
That was $300.
Oh, that's not too much.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad. And
that's crazy.
Like I make dumb stuff all the time.
Dude, I was about to say, what are you printing over there? What are you printing at home?
I'll make a lightsaber.
That's wild.
Yeah. So then also if like one of my friends is like, hey, can you make this for me? Then I'll be like, all right, I'll charge you a little bit of money. And...
Right, there you go. Make a little bit of profit.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I can justify spending $300 on a printer.
Right, that's awesome.
But I also don't own a regular paper printer.
Really?
Yeah, like,
I mean, just print your assignments. I mean,
I know, I'm dumb.
yeah.
I am fundamentally stupid on that. Like, I just refuse.
I refuse. That's awesome, though. That's exciting too. So, how strong is this material between the two too? I was thinking, we were talking about like breaking it off. Is it tough? Is it hard?
So you can print with different materials. So this one right here is PLA, which is polylactic acid. Then there's ABS, which I can't remember what that stands for, but it actually is a stronger material. I keep hitting your microphone.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
But those ones then you can make pretty strong. You can use them for car parts, all kinds of stuff.
Really? I was about to say, what's some of the common use things you buy from 3D printer? Not lightsabers, but the more like common.
Yeah, I mean,
things.
you can make like shelves, you could make your tripods, you can make all kinds of stuff. So actually now they're starting to work on 3D printing like human hearts.
Wow.
Like really
really
in the medical
detailed.
field, it's really and becoming a thing. I think right now they're starting to implement 3D printed hip replacements for your bones.
Yeah, because those are things that are more harder to just build, like physically, that you can actually scan
Yeah.
and get a precise
Yeah.
build for,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
And so how they do the collagen printing, which is how they're working on making hearts, is they have like a little tube full of the collagen, and then they just have like a little. It's set up like a regular FDM printer,
Right.
but it's got like a little needle that it's putting all of the material in, and then it makes a heart. Wow, it's so crazy.
See, that's crazy. That's interesting. Sounds like you're going into like a very, very interesting field, but also a very diverse field.
I have so many interests. Like my mom always was like, it's like a pizza. You just eat it from the behind part of the pizza. But I've just ended up like, she says that's what college is like. Right. But I've just ended up making it bigger. Because I'm really fascinated. I'm really fascinated by the news. I think media is awesome. Right. Advertising, like museum studies. There's just so much.
Yeah.
I'm really interested.
And that's good. Being diverse. It's like you're probably talented in some of these things too. But I always hear that saying. It's like talented in none, but educated in all, or something like that.
I swear that's me.
Yeah, right. Like it's kind of
like I have so many things that I enjoy, but I don't know if there's one thing that I'm super specialized in. Because I mean the dinosaur thing is I really love that, but I don't have a degree to back that up. That's just my job.
Right. That's what you're interested in. So why are you taking this video class? Is there anything that you just kind of chose it, or? I
kind of wanted to just have a class with Sierra.
Oh, okay. You're just like, this is being real. Yeah, I've done the same. The professor. Have you took a class with Summer yet?
No, I've met Summer though. Because I was thinking about doing NSAC.
Oh, you didn't do it?
I didn't end up doing that.
It's amazing. You do it.
A lot of drama.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of drama. That's why I didn't do it either. But the class I'm taking with Summer, I literally purely took because how awesome she is as a professor. And the class is fucking hard.
Are you doing that right now, or do you?
Not NSAC, but she's teaching another one called Ad Media Buying. And so, there's math involved. And so I'm kind of...
Yeah,
it's tough.
Oh, that's the thing that I cannot do to save my life.
Oh, math? Really?
No. Cannot.
Cannot, dude. Nah.
Would never.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, Summer's awesome.
Yeah, I love Summer. She's really cool. She can be an awesome professor. I wish she was the NSAC professor last year, but whatever. You
can't always have.
So you mentioned paleontology. Is that something you're kind of interested in going into, kind of diving into too as well?
Yeah, I mean...
Adding to your pizza.
Oh, my pizza. It's getting huge. So the paleontology is the study of all ancient life. So it ranges from dinosaurs to sharks, ancient sharks, to like big proboscideans like Columbian mammoths, all of that. So it's a huge range of all like things that I'm fascinated with. So hopefully whatever job I end up going into will have to do with that. I'll just be happy if I get a job.
if I can just make some money, yeah. I feel you. So do you have any idea of, like, as of right now, what you're weighing of going to grad school or not?
I guess I don't know. I really want to be done with school for a while because like I mentioned, doing Upward Bound through high school, I never had a summer where I wasn't doing school. Yeah. So I want a break because I'm really done for now.
I feel you.
Yeah. How long have you been in school?
I've been in school. This is my 6th year for a bachelor. So I mean, because I spent 3 years in the dance program, and then year before graduating was like, hey, I want to be a filmmaker. So I switched over. So yeah, 6 years in total, and I'm kind of the same way. It's just going to school. I mean, we start school 5-6 years old, and I'm about to be 24 next month, and it's been every single year of school, and you're just like, it's time that I just
do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you want to work?
I just want to grow my business, really. Income-wise, I really want to focus on Gage One Studios, make videos for people, make films, make weddings and commercials, promos, music, just anything and everything I can do and grow that business and get people under me and kind of just grow that, but at the same time grow this podcast and all those kinds of things, creative-wise.
That's so cool. Your work is awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Like, if I end up getting married, I would be like, Gage.
Yeah, I'll hook you up, 75% off. Remember
all right.
That. Quote me on that.
I have it on film.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, I'm gonna cut that shit. I'm like, I said 15%.
It's like there was a 7.
There was a 7. Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, for real. Hit me up. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. I thought about grad school as well, but if I went to grad school, I want to go to an actual legit college, like that's focused in film.
Yeah.
So we get to play with actual, like, not even like handy cams or DSLRs, but play in the big things,
like with red cameras.
Like with red cameras and all the C300s and all those kind of cameras. That would be a lot more film based, but looking into that even around here. I mean, I think the cheapest, I can't remember what college it was, but I remember being like, oh, $13,000 a semester. Yeah, right. And I'm like, I pay a quarter of that. And that's still a lot. $4,000 a semester here is still like, oh, man. That's insane.
Yeah, I have no idea how people are paying like $75,000 for just a semester. I know. Like, that gives me
a real
anxiety.
Thing. I know, and it's a real thing. I don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, so you mentioned you're really interested in tech.
Yes.
What kind of stuff do you like?
I love tech. No,
just tech.
Just tech in general. No, I'm always constantly saying this, that I love everything that's based in technology, and I mean small things like this. Okay, like for instance, upstairs I have a cat litter box. Okay. And I'm broke. I can't pay one of those $400 or $500 cat litter boxes that automatically swipe and clean and scoop, right? And I'm like, man, but I came across something one day, and it was like $100 for this cat litter box where it's not automatic, but it's semi-automatic, where you pull this handle, and it's like, and when I say tech, I mean in all aspects of just like, I guess there's a better word for it, but like.
Like an invention?
Innovation, and all that kind of stuff. But when it's like the litter will go inside of this thing, hold the litter, so the thing will continue to turn. The poop will drop into a little bucket that you have to like empty once a month, turn it back, and boom, it's fresh. You do that once a day, and I'm like, this is amazing technology. But of course, I'm referencing like innovation. But yeah, I just want to throw that story out there for whatever.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so that. But aside from that, actual tech, two things that I think I really am very, very hot and continuous on when I actually earn income, that's going to be the very first things, is Tesla. I absolutely love Tesla, right? And I love camera equipment, and anything to do with film. But the thing about Tesla that I absolutely love is, like, I haven't had a car in 2 years. Right? I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah, you have a boosted board.
Yeah, I have a boosted board.
Very Casey Neistat.
Yeah, exactly. More tech, right? I love it. Like, I work, live, and go to school on campus, and when I have to travel for work or something like that, I have my fiance's car, or there's, like, apps like called Turo. They can rent cars for, like, $20 a day. So it's, like, it's cheaper for me.
Dang.
Rather than to have a car, right?
Genius.
Right? So I'm going to keep rocking that in hopes that my first car will be a Tesla.
That'd be so dope.
Right? So
like, imagine me, like, the brag of saying my first car is a Tesla, but not giving any of the background.
Right.
Like...
I know, just being like, this is my car. So, yeah, I've had a bunch of cars. The issue is like, my first car was like 14.
So
yeah, so I've had cars. My first one was like this 14. I was 14 years old, had this beat up green Mazda. Oh man, it's a piece of crap. And then I started my lawn business, and I used to put my lawnmower in the back of the car, and my grandpa's like, we need to get you a truck. So I was like, okay. So I went through a couple of trucks, I sold my business, and then got a Mini Cooper that got water damage. It's a long story short. Yeah, it got water damage. I went to take it in. They're like, your car has water damage. It's going to be $5,000 replaced. And I'm like, just scrap it. So I was out $6,000.
Oh,
so that's,
no.
Yeah, a car got water damage.
I want to know the story.
Okay, I'll tell you. So it's like, I went over to the Blackfoot Fair, and this is like my second or third year of college. And I went out there, and I had my Mini Cooper, and all the windows are shut. And I remember, and I know specifically because it was like raining on the way up there. So I made sure when I like went back, I was like, okay, everything's shut, right? Go to the Blackfoot Fair, do our thing, we're having fun, whatever. 8 hours later, we come back, and I try to open my car, and it's not unlocking. I'm like, okay, what the hell? So I'm like hitting the unlock button. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, how is this not? So I was like, whatever. Used the key, got in the car, nothing would turn on. Couldn't turn, couldn't do nothing. I was like, what is this? So after like 20 minutes trying to play with it, fix it, whatever, called an Uber and just got a freaking, oh my God, $40 or 40-minute drive in an Uber is like $80. So whatever. So came home. I finally get some people to go out there, some car company mechanics to go out there and look at it, and they bring it back to their shop. After like 4 days, they're like, we can't do anything with it. I guess Mini Coopers are very unique in their own aspect that not a lot of mechanics will touch them. They're like, we'll look at it, see what we can do. Like, and I found like the closest, like, because like I had 3 or 4 mechanics in town say like, we're not gonna touch it, and I'm like, why? They're like, it's just a foreign car. It's a foreign car. Exactly. They're like, we just don't know it. We don't know the material. We're not gonna touch it. So I finally find somebody that does. They're like, we can't do it. So he's like, so I look up BMW. Do you know there's only one Mini Cooper mechanic station that services 6 states? 6 states. So anybody that has a Mini Cooper and breaks down and that needs like actual Mini Cooper help has to go to this one state that has one that services 6. Thank God it's Salt Lake City. So from me, of course, it's only 2 hours away, but all these other states have to go a long distance. It's stupid, right?
That's wild.
That's so stupid. So
my family growing up, they loved Volkswagens.
Oh, really?
So like, we had a hippie van that was like how we got around. It was like my mom's minivan.
Yo.
Yeah. So anytime that thing would have car problems, and it would have them frequently, like there was only one mechanic that would take it.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because mechanics can do it. They just really have to be skilled in it, or else they don't know what the hell they're doing because there's so much complications in there. But anyways, I bring it down, get it in a trailer that I also rented. I'm in this thing like, I can't remember, like probably $1,000 just getting the damn thing from where it was at the fair to here to getting the mechanics to back to Salt Lake City. They have it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right? And I'm like, I'm without a car, and I'm getting pissed. And I'm like, I need a car. So I finally called them, and I'm like laying into them. I'm like, I need it. They're like, we'll call you tomorrow. I finally get a call the next day, and they're like, your car has water damage. The motherboard got water in it, and it's going to cost $6,000 to replace. $5,000 to $6,000. It was like 5,000 something.
That is a real design flaw.
Yeah, right? I was like,
that was not that's Gage's fault. That was like...
Yeah, it's...
rain happens.
The rain leaked into the motherboard. I'm like, never in my life to this day I tell people that. They're like, your car got water... Like, what the... It's a car.
What happens to your phone?
And like, yeah, seriously. Like, and now even newer phones, like, you can't, you know? Yeah. So anyways, we take that down there, and... they tell us that, and I'm just like, keep it. So they just kept the whole car. They're like, called me, either come pick it up, or pay the $6,000, we'll fix it, or we'll just keep it and we'll like use it for scrap parts. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with a beat up, broken down Mini Cooper. So I'm like, just keep it. I don't even want it. It's been a month at this point. I'm $1,000 into it. I'm like, keep the damn thing.
Oh man.
They have the nerve. They're like, they had the nerve. They're like, do you want to send down your key? I was like, no, I'm not saying. You got my whole car, and you want my key now? Fuck you! Like, I was so pissed. Hung up on him.
Give him a bad yell. I was so angry,
dude. For real, yeah.
They took my fucking car.
Oh, I was pissed. I was livid.
That's so funny.
I paid so much money for a damn
that
car.
That sucks. Like in the moment, but it's kind of funny to talk about.
It is so funny. It's like, thinking back at it, it's hilarious. I had to like, it was on a loan. Like, obviously I didn't pay that car up front, so I was paying a loan for a car that I didn't even have for like 2 years until I finally paid off that loan.
God, that sucks.
Stupid. Insurance wouldn't take care of it. Like, everybody was like, we don't know what happened, but everyone was like, you just have to pay the $6,000. It was stupid.
That was a whole tangent.
Yeah, it was dumb. But
Mini Coopers suck.
Yeah, Mini Coopers suck. Don't buy one. So, long story short, so that happened, and then I jumped into my last car, which is a Toyota Camry. Right. I love that thing. It was beautiful. It was nice. It was sleek. It was like 2014, in like 2017. Yeah. And I drove that for a minute, and then finally, I've always been an avid Casey Neistat watcher, right?
I love you too.
Yeah, man, we'll get in that. But I love it, and I loved it a lot. And so I was like, I loved Casey watching his stuff, and I was like, and he mentioned the boosted board. I was like, what is this thing? What? Like, probably the same way with the 3D printer, you're like, what is this? I need one, right? Because I've never seen one, right? Never around here. Like, I just like, it's not even a thing, right? Like, electric longboard is what we're talking about when we mentioned this boosted thing. And so I was like, I came home one day. I was like, babe, I'm going to sell the car and buy a boosted board. She's like, what the fuck's a boosted board? I'm like, it's an electric longboard. She's like, how much is it? And I was like, it's $1,600. She's like, you what the fuck? I was like, no. She's like, once I explained it to her why, it's like, why do I need a car when I live, work, go to school on campus? Why am I paying $200 for insurance, like $180 car payment, gas for this thing? So it's like $500 a month, not to mention the tune-ups.
You don't have to pay insurance on that.
Right, exactly. And not only that, so like in this thing, I didn't buy it up front. God, no, I didn't have that money. So they have a loan program, and it's like $60 a month. And yeah, and I've had it for 2 years now. I've only had to touch it up twice. I had to buy $5 belts.
Oh, wow.
2 $5 belts both times. So $20 in
That's
maintenance
awesome.
for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay, I thought you had to buy it like up front.
No,
Oh,
you go to their thing. They have Affirm, which Affirm is like the best loan program I've ever used. By the way,
nice.
Yeah. So you go to there and you can just kind of sign up for a little.
I have
loan.
a regular person, just a longboard.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So you longboard too?
Yeah. See, the pizza's big.
So the pizza is we're all the way to longboarding, you know. See, that's wild.
So now I just have to buy a boosted board.
I know. Have you ever rode one?
No.
See, I'm gonna start wearing it because now it's getting warm out. I'm gonna bring it to class. We'll have to put you on it.
All right.
Because a lot of people, like, if you know how to longboard, they'll love it. It's like, I always like mention it's like snowboarding uphill or longboarding, or like it's just like going uphill. It's like different because you're like obviously not
like having to struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle going up. It just feels like butter, and it goes 24 miles an hour.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, I want to try that.
We'll do it. We'll do it for sure. But to kind of flip this back around, where do we start? Tesla. What do you think of Tesla?
I love Tesla. Like, I follow Elon Musk on Twitter.
Oh my god!
And like even the controversies I find funny.
Right?
Like I'm like, Elon knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows his marketing skill. And
yeah.
Isn't it interesting too? Because we're both in CMP and we talk about this all the time: advertising, marketing. And he doesn't pay to advertise, right, at all for Tesla. Like he does it all. But his marketing is brilliant, like you said, with those controversies to get the free online talk. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's free advertising.
I mean, like, I don't even know if he really did this on purpose, but the like becoming a meme thing, like with PewDiePie and all of that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, genius.
Yeah,
like,
brilliant.
Because then he has all of the fanboys of PewDiePie that are like, I really think Teslas are cool. And
right?
then like David Dobrik, the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's smart 'cause he's working with these YouTubers that are like almost his direct audience, the younger people that are watching YouTube, which if you watch YouTube, you probably have an understanding of technology and because, you know, it's kind of new-ish type thing, you know? So it's like by watching that, you're kind of...
And then, like, self-driving cars they're just not very appealing to people that have driven their entire lives.
Very true.
That's, like, a scary change for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good idea to market to someone that's younger.
Exactly. Exactly.
Even though they are more pricey, but they're not that bad.
Yeah, they're not too bad. Well, I was thinking about that same thing is, like, my fiance paid $22,000 for her Jeep. And I'm like, for a brand new Jeep, and I'm like, that's nice. Like, that's nice. But I'm like, if I paid... Especially when a tax credit was a thing, it was like $7,000 off, and I think it came to like $32,000 for the Tesla Model 3. And I was like, we pay extra $10,000 and we got a Tesla. Are you kidding me? And it's electronic, self-driving.
Yeah.
No oil, gas changes, lower maintenance.
Updates all the time.
Isn't that the coolest part too? Is like you in this tech, like you buy your car, here's your car. And now you're like, oh, by the way, I made your mileage faster. You're like, what? It's like, oh, by the way, I released YouTube games, video game, like all these things on your little monitor.
It's awesome. Like, I think that should be how things work. I mean, like, we buy an iPad and we're like, we expect updates.
Yeah.
So I think our cars should work the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people kind of hate Tesla on the fact that they think it's like going to take over the car and drive for them. They're like, oh, it's so scary.
No.
It's like, well, you could get a Tesla and not use it.
You can do both.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's like you don't have to trust it.
But like also it makes things significantly safer.
Exactly.
And then there's like research that shows that when, you know, you're trying to merge onto the interstate and no one's letting you in, it causes backups. But when cars can communicate with each other, it will just seamlessly let everyone continue going the same speed limit. Like,
right.
And it works so much more efficiently. Like it kills, it fixes traffic.
It's insane. It makes so much more sense. I feel like no one wants to miss this, but it's like humans are flawed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in reality, it's like, I think that's just like I don't know, what am I, millennial? The millennial in me or whatever. That's all like, yo, trust tech because tech's tech. And, you know, we're imperfect. So
yeah.
You know,
Imperfect.
You know, yeah, I plugged it secretly. You know what's up?
So subtle.
Subtle plugs.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah, but I totally agree. Like, it makes sense to do that.
And kind of give it to their hand because it's like, have you ever been in a Tesla?
No, I want to so bad. Have you?
Yes, I rented one.
That's dope.
Yes. I was like, I want one, and there's a guy in black. The same app I was telling you about, it's called Turo. They're not sponsoring me, maybe they should, but Turo's amazing, and they let you go to the app, and you could like search your local area of people that put their own cars. It's kind of like Airbnb, but for cars. So people post up their own cars, and they can let other people rent it. And Turo has like policies that will cover you in case they break your stuff or like it's awesome. So
That's
it's like
genius.
It's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
And so you can just go on there and like people have like old beat up cars, but you can rent it for like $25 a day, and then you got a car for a day.
That's nice.
But I was scrolling through and I was like $100 for a car. Wait, a Tesla? I could rent a Tesla for $100 a day. I was like, it's my birthday a couple years ago. I was like, like you know, right?
Treat yourself.
Booked it. But feeling it like it is kind of it is a little sketch at first when you like let the car. Because obviously you don't feel that movement, and when you're going 80 on a freeway, you're like, this is
scary.
But you like just let it go and just feel it like totally switch lanes for you and control everything, and you're just like, whoa, like, and it's doing it way better than I can. Like it's like literally like perfectly aligned by like center of the road, and will switch perfectly and at perfect timing, and if the car like way ahead of me will brake, it will slow down because it can do all that faster than our minds can work.
Yeah, people always point to the example of like, well, what if it had to choose between like hitting an elderly woman or killing a baby? And it's like the car wouldn't make that decision. The car would just stop.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't have to do one or the other. Like you're making a false
yeah, for real. Humans will hit both.
Yeah, like a human would be like, I'm scared, and like kill everyone. Like
yeah, literally.
Yeah, and then another thing are people are always scared, like, you're going to lose a lot of money or, well, jobs because you're going to lose truck drivers. But I think that you're just going to have, that's going to happen no matter what. Like, automation is going to happen.
Exactly.
So then those people will end up finding other jobs, and then they'll have other opportunities coming in the automation world. So I think it's like, it's trade-offs, but it's scary.
It is scary. Yeah, definitely. But it's like right now, like Tesla has that Tesla Semi. And any truck driver right now should embrace that, because if their company was, or themselves were able to get that Tesla semi truck, it is amazing in every sense of the way. The length it can go, the power it has, how much it can pull, and how nice and clean the actual area looks on the inside. Like it's futuristic in every sense, and it makes their job easier.
Yeah,
you know, so they can like, be texting and like.
And truck driving's a hard job.
Yeah.
Like my stepdad was a truck driver. So.
Really? Wow. Did you do like long hauls or? Yeah.
So I lived in Aberdeen throughout middle school and then parts of high school. So that's where my dad's from. So out there during potato harvest and stuff, then they'd work. But
dang.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a hard job.
It definitely seems like a hard job. I heard like I had a friend's parent that did it once, and they said they'd be like gone for like 3 weeks at a time and come back for like a week or something, leave another like 3 to 4 weeks.
No, that was my grandpa.
That's crazy though. That's hard.
Yeah,
that is hard. Like, oh, they're making bank, but I'm like, yeah, but I ain't here.
Yeah,
it's tough, but that's definitely what I love tech. I love the industry, and it's crazy that even though someone like us that are college students and can't afford it, how we could be advocates for it though. Like it's gonna be one of those things. Like I had this thought too. It's like, and this is how you really know how brand loyal you can be to a company or an organization or a movement, is if you became a millionaire, like say you won the lottery or something, what you would purchase, right? And I swear to God,
it would be a Tesla.
It would be a fucking Tesla. Like it would be a Tesla. Hands out. It might not be a Tesla Model 3. It'd probably be a Model X or something a little bit fancier, but it will be a Tesla. I don't give a damn about Lamborghinis, Bugattis, all that bullshit. All they can do this horsepower. I don't know the first fucking thing about a car. I care about the technology, the updates, watching YouTube in my car. Like that's the stuff I care about. You know what I'm saying? So that's why no matter how much money I got, it's like those core values that like I want to support Tesla. I want to do this thing. I'd probably do the tech things like finally get solar panels on my roof. Like
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh, there's so much.
There's so
too. And then there's the other question of that really bothers me when like I bought a cell phone. Like I remember getting the S8 Galaxy S8.
Oh yeah.
Like 3-4 years ago.
Right.
And thinking like this is technology.
This is And
then I got rid of it a little bit ago. But I wish there was a better way to recycle our old tech. because I felt really bad about it. And then I was like, hey, I have a friend that needed a cell phone and ended up just giving it to her.
Right.
But I wish there was a solution right now for that.
Yeah, that's true. Because right now, most of the times people have like in contracts and they'll just buy it back and then probably resell it used or
those
something.
Things get, I think they're not recycling them.
Yeah, exactly. We need to.
Yeah, and there's metals in there that are going to be gone in the next 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's very important. Actually, really important. Someone get on this. Start this rolling out.
Someone in there, if you're listening, do it.
I know, do it. It's insane though. Like, when you think about all this together, how far tech has come, especially in the facts of how it can impact things too. Your current like things like, like automatic toothbrushes, or it can be like self-driving cars, or it can be like, a speaker in your home, Alexa. You can just, she probably heard me, but
she's around.
I know, right? Like all those things that can help you, but also in such a high end, like what you do, the 3D modeling is insane. Because you're right, like getting these fossils, you can't just duplicate them, but you're like, hey, we can.
Yeah, and we can make it available to the public, and they can mess with that and do whatever they want. It's great for education purposes. I mean, we have a whole database through the IVL that's on Sketchfab that we worked with the National Science Foundation.
Really?
And so they funded a scanning project with our museum where we digitized all of our collections. And that's great because museums aren't always going to be forever. Like something bad could happen, like a fire, something could get broken. Yeah. And that does happen. Like, an example, somewhere in Peru, they lost a whole collection because their museum burned down. Wow. And none of that was digitized.
Right.
And so that's what our job really is. We're trying to keep these things forever.
Right. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So that you can study them, look at them, mm-hmm. have those memories, have those essence. Do you know, jumping back on that, with these dinosaur fossils, like, is there, I don't even know how to ask this question, but is there like companies or franchises, I don't even know how you would word it, that advocately that of go out and try to find fossils? Is it?
I bet there are some. I know that there's the Gem and Mineral Association in Idaho that they go out and look for like rocks and fossils and stuff. So that's just random people though. Right. So I don't know if there's a corporation doing that.
Right. So here's a good question. It's like, because there's probably fossils all underneath us, right? Yeah. Even where we're at. So how, the more tech and more homes that we build, how is this going to happen? Because we can't just dig under.
So a lot of the time fossils end up getting found. So Helicoprion, those fossils are in a phosphorus area that they're digging out in Idaho. Oh my gosh, where is that? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But so basically they're digging for phosphorus, and then they happen to find these fossils, and then they'll keep them and say, hey, do you guys want them? Take them. But they're just digging for phosphorus. Wow. So that ends up happening. And a lot of the time people, when they're building roads, if they come across a fossil, they'll let scientists go out and get everything too. Wow. So sometimes it's just completely random that you find stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm. It just pops up, happens to be, but sometimes you have to go out there and actively.
Yeah, and you're like, don't build the road yet. Let us get this out.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's what I'm saying. There's so much.
Yeah, and like Los Angeles, they had that happen when they're trying to start building a subway down there, and then they happened to find like a bunch of fossils, and so then the team was like, we gotta go out and get them.
Yeah, we gotta go grab them, keep them for research. Yeah, especially if we like advocate for Elon's boring tunnel.
Fossils.
Yeah, right. Like it's gonna be legit going down underneath and digging in straight holes everywhere. So I mean, imagine how much you can find.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then it's funny too because paleontology, it's already got like a funny history of its own. During the 1800s, it first started to become a thing where people were like, "Oh my gosh, these are like big lizards."
Right. Yeah.
And so that's when it first started happening. They started like deciding to put them in museums and research them, but back then their science was really bad and their preservation was really bad. So there's oh my gosh, I think it's in Chicago, their museum there, they have a Dimetrodon that they actually bored through the fossil of the vertebrae to put a piece of metal so that it could stand. And so they made the armature that way. So they totally fucked up the fossil.
Oh my god.
So that's heartbreaking.
Right, yeah.
But they did it in the 1800s.
Wow.
So now I kind of wonder where paleontologists 100 years from now are going to be like, they fucked up.
Yeah, for real. I know that what we're doing now, like they 3D printed shit. God,
Why would they do that?
I know, right?
But I hope I imagine it wouldn't be that bad.
Right, yeah. It'll be legit.
So that's the thing we're trying to preserve for the future generations. Sorry.
Right. So if you have fossils though, like how long does it take until can they derode? Or is it going to take like a long ass time?
It would take a really long time with how we're preserving them.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say.
Then usually they're pretty safe in the ground too. I mean, if they've lasted
I was about to say
100 million years already.
Yeah, 100
like
million years,
yeah.
a couple more years, you know.
It'll be fine.
That's crazy.
It's also crazy. I love thinking about how old these fossils are, and you think about how long humanity's been around, and it's just like a blip.
Right.
Like all of our history that we've ever known is
not very
nothing
much
compared to a piece of rock.
Mm.
It's crazy. And then like you think about, I watch documentaries all the time, and recently I've been really obsessed with like Egyptology. And so when you think about that, was not that long ago, but we hardly know anything.
Yeah.
And we know a lot about Egypt compared to other societies. Like we don't know lots about Native Americans.
Yeah.
So like we're a blip. We're nothing. Like
something.
Humanity is nothing compared to these. So like, and then dinosaurs aren't even that old. Like Heliobrian's like 290 million years old.
Damn.
So
that's not old.
That's like, and then Earth is
but yeah,
4 billion years old, something like that.
That's crazy. That's kind of great.
It's like thinking about space. Like you get really.
I know. You're just like, what's on the end? Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
You're just
I'm
like
scared.
your head. I know your
I'm
head just
in
starts.
danger.
Your head starts to hurt so bad. It's like, what? What are we? Where are we? What is going on?
Yeah. So talking about YouTubers again.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite YouTuber?
My favorite YouTuber would be. So I watched a lot of Casey. He sucks. He's not uploading as much anymore. But Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon. My favorite that I watch every video for, a couple of them, is like Marcus Brownlee, huge tech, huge cell phones. Okay, yeah, MKBHD, and then Mr. Beast.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know Mr. Beast. I was talking to Jason, which blowing up on YouTube. I'm like, you know who Mr. Beast is? He's like, what? No, I was like, what? How are you on the YouTube platform? You don't know who Mr. Beast is
always on like #1 trending.
I know,
Yeah.
like literally every video.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, I love YouTube to an insane amount.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Because I'm really bad about like someone's like, okay, watch Stranger Things, and I'll be trying to get through it, but I'm like super caught up on YouTube. It's just easy to watch.
It is, and I think the same thing too is like YouTube. I love it too because you subscribe to all your favorite YouTubers. You know, you come on me like you gotta eat. It fits all situations. Like me and my fiance want to sit down and watch like a bunch of YouTube for like 2 hours. We can because obviously it's YouTube. There's enough content. But
You're
like
boop, boop, boop.
yeah, literally. But if you're like on a lunch or like when I'm at work, I can watch a quick 10-minute video because that's something I can knock out. Right? It's super easy. Rather than Stranger Things, you don't want to like.
Yeah, and you want to sit down and watch something like that.
Exactly, because like you can't. It's harder because like if you do have a lunch, you can't come home for 30 minutes for an hour-long episode. You have to cut it and you have to come back and you're kind of lost. But YouTube, you can open and close your entertainment in minutes.
I'm also super bad about like I'll watch a video on my phone and then I'll go and start scrolling through Twitter. So like I have YouTube playing on my phone and I'm doing something else.
To audio. I did something with podcasts too. It's just like you're everywhere.
We read this book in one of my classes for CMP where it was like our minds are nothing compared to like what they used to be. Like our attention spans are nothing.
Oh yeah, wait, what book is that? For what class?
It was like mass media history, law and ethics. I think so.
Mass communication and society? No?
I think so. I think it was. Was it Zach?
Gershberg.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I read that book and I was like, that's me.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. It is crazy when you think about it though. Like it's literally it's like such a point that you watch so much YouTube that like you don't prefer anything else. Like I love I watch Hulu, Netflix, like all the good shows like Stranger Things, whatever those. But YouTube is one of those things that is 90% of my content watching.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look at my screen time, it's like all YouTube.
All YouTube, right? It's just so much diversity. In fact, when I was getting you on the podcast, I was looking up some 3D printing. I found out there was like a whole
there's 3D printing YouTube.
There's 3D printing YouTubers. I was like, this is wild. What?
Yeah.
Such a crazy. You ever think about doing something like that?
Maybe. I kind of think about it. Maybe I should do that. I'm always trying to convince the people at the museum that we need to do some more like video content talking about the stuff that we do. Yeah.
You should the first thing you should be doing is get a time lapse camera.
Oh
And
yeah.
time lapse that stuff. That'd be such a sick 10 seconds of seeing something that took 3 months. Just that whole
Yeah.
oh.
Honestly, it would have been really funny to have that in our lab. This is the camera that you set up.
Oh yeah, when you're yeah, I know, huh? That was when we set up a time lapse camera inside your whole exhibit, right? And we were setting it up.
When we were setting it up, he was recording it for a promotional thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh man, that would have been really awesome if that was in the lab, because
that's where all the hard work is done.
Yeah, and it was immaculately clean. And then we had to start putting everything together, and then it was like a fire hazard. It was bad. Now it's clean again. But.
Right, yeah, because I remember walking in there, the guy was spray painting, something was printing, and I'm just like, what's going on in here?
So much is happening.
Yeah. See, that's wild. But seeing something like that and seeing those kind of things and seeing things that you can print with 3D models, because I feel like it makes you an artist in a sort of way, because when you're going online and you're building, using your art to build certain models and things and printing that's something people
and that goes back to being paleo artists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm really interested in as well, doing scientific illustration. Scientists are notoriously bad for not being artsy people, so that's why I think that there's a real need for that, and explaining your concept through visual is always so much more effective than stumbling through words. And scientists are always pretty pretentious about, they're like, oh, the occipital condyle.
And you're like, what?
What are you
I'm
speaking
wow,
of?
what a cool bee.
Yeah.
Seriously, when you walk through the exhibit, I'll tend to read them, but it's just crazy how you'll see kids like, wow, a spider, wow, a bat, and they're just running along, looking at all the cool things they you know.
Yeah, and you have to, when you're making exhibits, you have to think about what kind of people are going to be going through this exhibit. So you have to think about, it has to be entertaining for kids, and kids can look through that one and be entertained. But then you have to think about having big enough text panels that people are going to be interested. And I think they didn't do a great job at having short enough text panels that they'd be interesting enough. Right. And especially knowing what we know through our classes about how people read things. Yeah. No one's reading all of those.
Yeah, nobody reads, yeah.
And so, I mean, every time I'm writing something, I'm always thinking about how, we talked about the F style of reading, that people are left aligned and they'll skim one sentence and then just go around. So I'm always thinking about that when I'm writing stuff.
That's smart too, because people's attention spans are just
tiny.
They're tiny. They're so bad. I mean, it was started with Vine, so much back, but then Vine, and then now TikTok. It's people are just insanely, and it's even because YouTube, it's if it's my favorite YouTuber, heck yeah, I'll watch the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But especially how you get all those suggested videos. That's how you really get into YouTube, is you're watching those random videos. But when you're clicking, you're reading the title, judging the thumbnail, and seeing the time in a matter of seconds, and you're like, 10 minutes, and that doesn't look very interesting.
And we're not even thinking about that. That's how we're looking at our content.
We're doing exactly what we were raised not to do, which is judge a book by its cover.
Oh yeah,
you're just
that's so true.
It says 15 minutes for this. I'm like, and I'm like, and it's like especially when I was showing us, I wanted to touch up on Star Wars before the new one came out, and I wanted to see a kind of thing. I remember just scrolling, and it was 35 minutes and a roundup thing of all the Star Wars, and I was 2 minutes rounds up. I'm like, yeah, 2 minutes. And he was because he can't really wrap it up, but it's
But I'll watch a full Shane Dawson documentary.
Oh, yo.
I just bought the eyeshadow palette.
Nuh-uh, you did not. You are, what?
I know, I'm so dumb.
Yo, that's wild. Which one was it?
Was it Conspiracy?
Yeah, Conspiracy. That whole thing was wild. That whole series was wild.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I didn't know you bought it.
I know. I just barely bought it because they sneakily restocked it.
Restocked it, yeah. So people can get it back. Yeah. Because that's the Jeffree Star and his collaborative one, isn't it? Is it good? Have you used it?
I've used his formula before. I have the red one. I think it's blood sugar. Is what it's called. And it's a great formula for
really. It's good to hear that, because I haven't talked to anybody that's because you read online, everyone's like, I love it so much.
Great.
Yeah, I was like, is it good though?
You're like, I don't use eyeshadow.
yeah, no, maybe I almost bought it. I was feeling it. After watching that doc, I was like, man, this whole thing of how much work that got into this, I was like, I want it for display.
I'll show it to you.
Yes, please. Yeah, Shane Dawson. It's crazy too how YouTube is just taking over the mainstream by storm. I mean, we have YouTubers making millions, if not billions of dollars off products, off clothing and makeup and things like that. And then you have YouTubers like Logan Paul and Jake Paul and KSI that are building their own fully sold out boxing matches.
Yeah.
Like, and then
I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to that stuff because I don't give a shit about Logan Paul or Jake Paul, but I like kind of paying attention to the drama. But I don't care about the fights.
Yeah,
but I know that there's a huge market for that. So that's awesome.
There is. I was an avid watcher, and then like he did that whole thing. I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks. So I kind of stopped for a long while until his podcast started.
Oh, I do listen to his podcast sometimes.
Oh, really? Yeah, his podcast, it's different. It's not really the kind of like information I want to portray, kind of say, because they're always like, oh yeah, porn stars and sex, like like literally every episode. It's funny, it's entertainment, but it's something like I wouldn't live by.
I would love to go on that and fight with them.
For what?
Because they never have someone that opposes them.
Oh, I know. I know. I think about that all the time. I'm scared.
Like what I would say.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I totally get you on that one. Like,
yeah, right. Exactly. I think the same thing. And because like Joe Rogan's like pretty much the only person that has actively brought people on and disagreed with. And
yeah, and I think that's awesome.
That is awesome. It's scary though, because how it can lead to something, So it's like I don't do things. I don't know if you noticed, by the way. If you see up there, it's a camera.
Oh shit!
I have a camera full time. You don't know. Like I'm like, what if you all kill it? Like, I mean, I'll be dead, but I mean, I got you on camera, bitch. Like, no.
75% up.
75%. Yeah, right.
It's on camera.
For real. So yeah, like I have that, but it's like I'll never do a very controversial, hard topic or guest unless I have friends or my fiance or somebody upstairs as well.
That's smart.
So they're like listening, obviously playing on their phones or whatever the fuck. That way, you know what I'm saying? Just like for that extra security, because you just don't know how it could be. I've never had anything very difficult at all. And I don't think I ever will. I don't think that'll ever be a problem. It's just like extra precaution. But because like watching Joe Rogan though, he gets like some of those topics get very, very aggressive so quickly. Like it's always like, oh, like, they're talking and then it's like they bring up this politic and then they kind of go into it and it gets really tough and then really heated. And then that's when things can get a little bit sketch. So you got to be...
Yeah.
A little thing. But, of course, like, that's like the worst. The worst thing that obviously I think would mostly happen is just the guest would get pissed and leave, But to see somebody do that and get up on thing and fight that, like...
Yeah.
Do it.
And then it's also like, you don't want to be a pushover either. Like, you don't want to have your guest, like, say something and then you end up not countering it, even though you feel like you should. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Logan Paul and them are kind of guilty of that, where they have someone on, but then they don't follow up.
Yeah, I know. And it's definitely hard, especially thinking like it's a hard thing because you want your guest to come on because your guest is coming on for they ain't getting paid. Mm-hmm. They're coming on because they are going to bring more awareness to the brand. That's why I think it is really a lot more nice. Do you think they would, like, bigger people like Logan Paul would pay? I don't know behind the scenes, but watching the amount of Logan Paul and Joe Rogan and H3H3, all those big podcasters, I think that especially like watching them, I think all of it is just like marketing. You know what I'm saying? Better SEO, better name, get people attention to their brand. I don't think they're paying for guests. I don't know. But it's like, I mean, like, think about like someone like PewDiePie going on H3H3. It's like, I don't see H3H3 paying PewDiePie to come on their podcast. That doesn't benefit him financially. He has money. Yeah. But it will benefit him more to learn a little bit more personally about who is PewDiePie outside of his YouTube channel, Yeah. So I think it's more like that. So if you bring someone on just to kind of shit on them, that's why it gets... But that's why Joe Rogan is so great, because Joe Rogan, like, it's Joe Rogan. Like, you're going on there to fight some very hard, tough questions. He's an incredible interviewer. Yeah. So when people come on, like Ben Shapiro or all these other people, and they're talking about, like, gays and all these things, and they get into it, and Steven Crowder, oh, man, like, because Joe Rogan has a guy literally there to Google information while they're speaking live.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. If I was to have a podcast, I would have that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Fact checker.
Yeah, seriously, because it's like Joe Rogan's like, check that, and 5 seconds later, he's like, this is true, and he's like, so what do you think? And Steven's like, what? Like, well, it's like, you can't fight that because he has a team right behind him, like, researching and, like, giving live information so you can follow and do it live rather than like saying a bunch of shit and then finding out later what isn't.
Yeah, and then you accidentally tell your audience something that's not true.
Yeah. In fact, on this show, I think I've done it a couple of times, but the bottom right, I'll put a text that if I say something incorrect and I'm like, I'll actually like do something, and I'll put a text at the bottom right, be like, oh, this is what I didn't mean this, like, because I don't want to cut it out because it will ruin the context. We want to let them know that, like, yeah, this information was wrong, so you know.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's responsible.
Responsible, right? Yeah. It's tough. There's a lot of like...
and I mean, people... that happens. Like everyone says something wrong sometimes, but
Yeah.
when you're putting it out there and it's going to be there forever. And you want it to be the best to your knowledge.
Exactly. Especially when you're like talking to people. And that's why it's so smart, if you could, obviously, if you're financially able to, have someone on the side doing all that kind of fact checking, running equipment, all the fun things that make life so much easier.
Yeah, he's got 3 cameras set up.
3 cameras, an audio recorder, 4 devices while trying to maintain an interview, make sure everything's still working properly. It's stressful.
Honestly, you're doing amazing.
Well, thank you so much. If you imagine though, just being in like an argument, I'm just like, wait, hold up. Oh shit, you were right. Never mind. Same subject. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, but I think that's why I got into Logan Paul and like their podcast, like, because even though podcasts, like I like my message, I like the whole thing, I love the whole thing, like that's what I want to portray. But it doesn't need to be so heavy all the time. I said all the time, it doesn't have to be so like political, like, you know, bringing you on, talk about 3D things and tech and all those kind of things, or all those, like, you know, success stories and how people made it, but also talk about the failures and the heavy, you know, politics, controversial topics, things like that. I think it's like good to have a mixture. But you're right, you should have people battle. Like you should. That's the point of the conversation. The point of the podcast is to have that thing when someone just comes on your podcast and they're like, here's my statement. And you're like, oh, cool, next topic. And you're like, what? Like, you need to battle that. You need to, like, let's get a conclusion.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you can't be a pushover. Like, you really can't. I can't remember who. H3 has had, like, Trisha Paytas on their podcast.
Yeah, that was their last one.
Yeah. I think it's really funny watching the back and forth. Because she'll, like, say something really dumb and he'll be like, no.
I know. I literally, like, the new one they just came out with, they're like, she's like, oh my gosh, we're doing this so often. I think we're like a throuple now. And they're like, no, that's not a throuple. We're friendship. And Trisha's like, what?
We've met each other twice.
Yeah, literally. Trisha's like, what? Come on. Like, we're friends. We're all friends, you know? And he's like, well, I wouldn't even call it that. I was like, oh my God. Like, but that's like the entertainment value that you get. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yes, this is the cats I was talking about. It's been a minute since he came downstairs during a podcast, but like I said, the last 5 guests were like allergic to cats, so I have to lock them upstairs.
I like cats.
He's a cutie. He's 14 years old, older than my little
brother.
Really?
Wow, he looks great.
He looks like a good kitty.
Hella nice. We have a cat. Her name's Persephone, but it's spelled P-U-R, like purr.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love it. This is TK. So when my grandma passed away, my grandpa moved into an apartment, and then he wanted to like travel, you know, before his time passed, or my grandpa or whatever. But since he couldn't have him anymore, I was like, I'll take him in.
Yeah.
You know, so
sweet.
Now we have this little 14-year-old kid. It's crazy to think too, like in reality, when you conceptualize this, because my grandma passed away in 2016, that I spent a lot of time with my grandma, right? This cat lived with my grandmother. So this cat technically would have way more memories with my grandma than I do. Like, think about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, isn't it crazy? Like,
that is crazy.
Because he like spent every night and day with her. You know, I came up and visited or whatever, but it's kind of crazy. I'm like, damn it, I wish you could talk.
What is in that little brain?
I know, right?
I know. I love animals so much. We have my dog Finn. He's a mutt, but he's like close to a border collie.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I want a dog, but they won't let you have them on campus, so.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah, I know. It was a lot of work to get the emotional support, like whole letter thing just with cats. I had to do like all this like crap, and it was a pain.
Yeah. Honestly, that's annoying that they do that. Like, animals are so beneficial for humans.
Oh my gosh! Like mentally, they are like, it's like, because I got it because like I want animals, but like legitimately, they really do help mentally in every sense of the word. Like,
well, it's shitty that the only way that you can have an animal is that you have to say it, like it's an emotional support.
Yeah, it's emotional support. Like literally, we had to like go to a doctor. We had to do a couple of sessions. We had to get a note. We had to take it to campus, have them approve it, set up a meeting with their counselor, talk with their counselor about how suicidal and depressed I was for an hour, and then go through all of that. And once he finished that, send it up, get it approved with them, send it over to housing, and then they finally approve me. Then I have to bring all their records showing that they're up to date on their shots, blah, blah, blah. It was a pain. So it was like a month process. Well, they lived here the whole time, but it was up to a month that they were allowed to finally live here.
I'm interested. What makes Gage?
Gauge. Like me personally.
Like what's the rundown of your life?
My rundown of my life is I like to entertain people.
Uh-huh.
I think that's my whole life story. Like, I've always so I don't know if you know this, when I was talking a little bit about Shay Carl starting Maker Studios and then Disney bought it. Maker Studios was a company that like partnered people for YouTube so YouTubers could make money, right?
Okay.
And I did that at like 10, 11 years old, and I used to make little gaming videos, and I actually got up to 1 million total views and 4,000 subscribers back in the day. I
Oh
was
my
making
gosh.
gaming videos every day, just being this little 11, 12-year-old girl. And that was like when I first got around like editing software and film and video, and that's when it's kind of weird that I dipped into that. And just loved entertaining and making videos, and just like the whole process of coming up with an idea and then making it like that publish button and like it's live for anybody in the world to see. That made me addicted. And so then of course I grew up, started dancing professionally, and then went to college for dance, and I started shooting dance films, and just like I loved entertaining. So, but overall I think that's kind of my whole goal, is to kind of, I realized, like, especially making film, I found something that's like going to make income and let me travel and be happy, and I'm passionate for, which is film and video and tech and all those things that all kind of go into this like whole thing of owning Gauge One Studios.
Yeah.
Creative wise, and how I'm giving back wise, and how I'm trying to grow as a human, like as an individual, I'm like, I need something, of course, that builds this podcast. So, you know, that's why I kind of love this so much, is because I get my creative out, I get to talk out, get to have fun, get to meet so many new interesting people. That's the fun part. You know what I'm saying? So I think what makes me me is just like chasing, like whatever I've always wanted to do, I did. Like
That's
I want to
awesome.
make gaming videos, I did it. Wanted to
Honestly.
dance, did it. Want to make a video in New York, did it. If I want to go to Minnesota, did it. Shoot weddings, did it. Like podcasts, did it. All on low budgets, but I fucking did it. You know?
Yeah, and then it's cool too, because like you're never gonna look back and be like, man, I wish I did that.
Right.
As like I've been doing that recently, where I'm like, I wish I wasn't the way that I was in high school. Like I wish I would have fought for things more.
Right.
Like,
No,
wouldn't have been
but
such a pushover.
no, I feel you. Even though because I've done a lot of things I want to do, but there are things like that still. Like I think of like I didn't go to my senior prom. Like, you know, and to this day, and I'm like, I don't know why the fuck it bugs me, but I'm like, why didn't I go to my senior prom? I couldn't find one girl. Like, you know, like you're all sad as fuck. Like, but seriously, like that's like one of those things that I wish I did, but it's just trying to do everything, especially with the big things. It's like if you have a career, an idea, or something you love doing, that's where you really have to put your effort in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get shit done. I tell people that all the time. Like,
just fight for it.
Fight for it, seriously. Because people are like, oh, well, when I make money, when I do this, there's always a when. It's like, don't focus on the when. Do it. Like, now. Like, I don't have any of the right equipment to make this shit work, but I am.
Yeah.
It's just because the equipment I had for the film business and some other extra small things that I bought, just whatever I could do to make it work so I can do it. You know, and throughout time, grow it.
You know, 10 years from now, the podcast is going to be in a great studio.
Fuck, I hope so. You know, just
so
be like
dope.
a full studio.
That would be so cool.
That would be so wild. That's the goal, is to grow it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so fascinating too. Like watching growth. I mean, and then also I was going to say, we grew up in just the bad time for YouTube, because like if we were just a little bit older, we could have like had really successful YouTube channels. You were talking about how you were little and you were doing YouTube stuff.
I know.
My brother and I were making like
Really?
Let's Plays of Minecraft.
No way.
I think they're on YouTube still. No one should find those. And I was just like a little girl just playing Minecraft.
See, that's so wild. So you play video games too?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I love video games.
What video games do you play currently?
So I'm addicted to my Switch. I
yeah.
love playing Smash Bros. We do Smash Bros tournaments at my house. So we'll like invite people over and get drunk and do that.
Oh god, hell yeah.
Yeah. So then recently I've been obsessed with Spider-Man for the PS4.
Oh wait, yeah, the newest one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I beat the whole thing.
That was dope. I love that game.
Yo, the whole storyline. You're like, I didn't like click in my mind. I was like, oh, that's the dog. Oh my god.
It's so good.
It's the storyline is actually brilliant.
I mean, I was so many.
So you have PS4. Mm-hmm. Have you ever played Fortnite?
Oh yeah.
Do you like it?
It's okay.
What? Come on, yo.
Do you?
Oh, fucking A. 3 to 4 hours a day.
Oh.
Seriously.
Yeah, okay. I'm bad at first-person shooters. Or even shooters, I guess, in general. Because I don't know. But I enjoy them, and I can respect them.
Right, yeah. I'm because I love Minecraft. I love the creative things, too. But for me, it's like, I absolutely I love competitive. That's like the me that gets like, everyone has their addiction, right? Like I have a shit day, I'm like, I just want to go scream at my TV.
Like Fortnite.
You know, like, and
so I've never understood. There was like, for a second there, it was really popular to just hate Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Like, why? I don't get it.
Why people hate Fortnite?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people just hate it because it's like the popular game. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I hate that, because that's like the culture we live in, is like, especially with an artist, like everybody's on one artist, right? Everybody like, oh my god, I fuck with Billie Eilish, like she's the best.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's on her. And then like they make a good album, and then everyone kind of trickles off, and they're like, yeah, Billie, like she sucks, like she can only whisper, sing, and blah blah blah, like all those stupid things. And
Billie Eilish is queen.
yeah, I know, I love Billie Eilish, but so it's like same thing with Fortnite. Like everybody, like and it's crazy too. My cousins, my family, my uncle, like I had so many people around me that were like, it was like one of the best times of my life. It was like having everybody. We used to have 4 PS4s, 4 TVs, 4 gaming chairs, and the thing, and we were just gaming, getting the victory royales, just working and grinding. And then everyone stopped playing. Every friend, every cousin, everybody just kind of fell out of it. I can't. The new season came out 2 days ago. I put $10 on it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Do your thing.
Yeah, for real. So.
And it's free.
That's why I absolutely love it. It's like a free game that my biggest issue with Call of Duty is like people that have been playing it longer or play it more, get better weapons, which therefore own you when you're like starting out, you know. But Fortnite, it's like a game that you could have the best player against like someone fresh. Level. Yeah, and you land, and whoever gets the gun first, he's gonna win.
I do really like that. I think that's awesome.
So it's like a level, no play to win game. You know?
Yeah,
that's kind of why I fuck with it.
I think that's kind of why I'm bad at those type of games, because I didn't have them when I was growing up. So I didn't have like Call of Duty for a long time, and then when I started playing it, everyone's already so much better.
Yeah, I know.
They'll just kill you over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's definitely such a learning curve. But did you play it? You played Halo though, right? A lot of gamers play Halo.
I have never played Halo.
Really?
Well, maybe I played it like at a friend's house, but I don't think I've actually played it.
Really?
No.
Halo's amazing.
I
don't have an Xbox, but it's like
I have like lapses in the games. But
right.
I had a PlayStation 1 that we played Spyro on.
Oh,
I did that religiously. Crash Bandicoot, religiously played that.
Yep, I love Crash
Bandicoot. And then all of the Lego Star Wars and Harry Potter.
Have you got the new Spyro came out?
Yeah, I played that.
It's hella fun. New graphics and everything is fire.
See, that's another thing where ZBrush, the program that I use for 3D modeling, is what they use to make these characters.
Really?
So I could also do video game design.
Yo, do it.
The pizza is huge.
The pizza is, you like so much to do. Yeah, that would be wild. Getting into something like that would be hella fun.
I made a Spyro. He's in there too.
Dude, pull him out. Let's see him. Okay, you made a Spyro, yo? That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. So you actually painted him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute. That is hella cute. Oh my god, look at this. That is awesome. 3D, you built him too, right?
That one is actually a model that was online.
Really?
Yeah, I was
like,
you
painted him.
If someone's already done this, I'm not doing it again. But
right, yeah.
But I could have made this easily.
Right.
And then I just painted it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That was printed on mine from home.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy, too, when you talk to more people that love tech and YouTube and all those things, that they end up being gamers?
Yeah.
I can't believe I should have asked you earlier, because, gaming is like everything. Have you ever played a game called The Last of Us?
Oh, yeah.
The Last of Us. You beat it?
Yeah.
No way.
That was the purpose of getting my PlayStation.
Oh, my God. Yo, that was one of the best games I've ever played. I mean, I think storyline-wise, it was the best game
I've
ever
love that
played.
game.
Like, the first 20 minutes, I'm like, when the daughter, it cuts deep, and then the end, and then he's all like supposed to tell her like the whole formula thing, and he like makes the decision. She's like, what happened? He's like, nothing, and you're like, and then it just ends. You're like, damn it! Now finally, The Last of Us 2 is coming out. Yeah, oh my lord!
I'm ready to cry a lot.
I'm ready, right? It's too good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was actually when I first started getting into PewDiePie, because I watched his Let's Play of that.
Oh yes.
And then Amnesia. Yep. Do you remember that game?
I do remember that. Yeah. I never played it, but so many games I know of is because of PewDiePie, is by watching his Let's Plays. Like, that's crazy.
It'd be fun to do that again.
Yeah, right.
Did you watch any of his Minecraft series?
His when he redid it?
Yeah.
Like the new, just recently? Yeah. The whole Sven thing and spending a whole episode finding gold to build him like a gold. Yes, he is.
Oh, Sven.
Yes, I know. I saw memes because he does those Lawise or whatever
on
they
Reddit.
are. Yeah, on Reddit. And it's one of the ones was Sven right now because PewDiePie went on break, and it's just him sadly in a room alone. I'm like, oh
no.
It's so sad. Yeah, it's too good. But yeah, that's crazy. So where did you say you were from?
I am from Idaho. So Aberdeen is where I grew up. And
got you.
But I was born in Pocatello. Then when my parents were together, we lived in Pennsylvania.
Oh, gotcha.
So then they got divorced, and my mom's family's from here, so we moved back.
Where'd you go to high school then? Pennsylvania?
I went to Pokey.
Oh, you went to Pokey?
Mm-hmm.
What year?
Uh, 2012 to 2016.
We were in. Wait, to 2016.
Yeah, that's when I graduated.
So we went to high school together.
Did we? When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2014.
Oh my gosh. We realized
What the
that's
fuck?
weird.
We did. So we went to high school together.
Wow, we're learning things.
What? No fucking way.
That's funny.
What?
Yeah.
Yo. So, yeah, I graduated in 2014, and then I went to.
Who were your friends?
Oh, the time I had a lot of friends, and I don't know any of them now. Like they all disappeared. Like I was like a whole clique. It's like one of those things. We're all gonna be friends forever, and then like cut to a year later, and I'm like,
nope, don't know any of them.
Like Jacob, you're on meth. Like,
He's in jail now.
Yeah, he's in jail, and yeah, it's kind of crazy how fast things can change.
Yeah, I was part of the drama department for a while.
So yeah, so you did like, did you ever do any shows or anything?
Mm-hmm. I was in Seussical, and then I did Fiddler on the Roof. I swear there was another one. But I did state drama, like competition with them. So one of our friends wrote this like Where's Waldo piece.
Okay, I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
So do you remember there was like we had Pokey News for a minute? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Like the video Pokey News. That was like that whole semester that we had that I was in that class.
Oh.
And you might remember Sam was like the one that used to wear a big white furry thing, and he used to like comment. It was weird, but he was like one of the news hosts for a minute. I performed at a couple of the assemblies because I was dancing at the time, so I did a couple of those.
Okay, I think I vaguely have memory of.
Yeah.
Did you do Mr. PHS?
I did.
Okay, then
Yes, I did.
You were the dancer.
Yes, I was the dancer, and then I came out all.
Gosh.
Yeah, I remember that because I went into it like last minute, literally the day before. They're like, "Here's this thing you should be a part of," and I was like, "Oh, it's probably too late." And the teacher's like, "No, you should do it. Like, we'll throw you in." I was like, "Okay." They didn't even have me on the ballot because they already printed all the flyers or whatever. I know. I was like, whatever. So, but I just did it for fun, and because I came out in like those short booty shorts. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Issues. Did you go to the talent? Did you go to all the talent shows?
I did a couple, or went to a couple of them.
So I don't know if, no, we didn't win, but we came out in leopard print. Do you remember the dance, gas pedal? We did that on stage, and we both like ripped off our pants and we threw it at the crowd, and we had legged print.
Oh no.
Yeah, cheetah print leggings, and we had like 10, 15 people run out on stage, and we just started doing all these crazy dances.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, did you take graphic design in high school?
No, I wasn't interested in that at all in high school.
That's crazy.
I took pottery though, so that's where the 3D
comes
in.
So we were literally right next to each other.
That's funny.
At some point, yeah, because I was upstairs. I had Miss Whittier for the graphic design.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
She is amazing. She actually, we're friends on Facebook, which is even crazy. It's like, oh my gosh, friends with your teacher. But yeah, I did graphic design for like 3 years.
Yeah.
In high school, so like we were literally around each other
funny.
the whole time.
We would have been friends.
Yes, I know, right? It's too busy with girls though, so
I was really dumb in high school.
Tell me about it. I was very, very dumb too. But yeah, that's high school. You learn and you grow and you get better.
Honestly, yeah. If I could go back and kick myself, I would. Be like,
right?
Do better in school.
I know. It's whoops.
Honestly, yeah. But I guess it's like it's sheer learning, doing your thing.
Yeah, it literally is. It literally is. That's crazy though. So you graduated in 2016, right? Mm-hmm. And then did you go to ISU right after? Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you ever go to ISU's Got Talents?
No, I have not.
Never go. No, ISU's Got Talents. So not even Nepalese night.
Oh, I've gone to Nepalese night.
Were you there? Oh,
yeah, last night, and I was there the last 2 years too.
So I performed at Nepalese night the year before, or yeah. That's not this one. Like I think last year. Yeah.
I probably saw you.
I guess you know what I'm saying. Like it's crazy.
That's wild.
It's so wild. Always around each other. It's wild that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a small world.
It's a small world.
So I guess like we live in the same town.
That's crazy. A lot more to unpack. We might have to have you come back for episode 2.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
A lot of stuff. A lot of things. I gotta thank you though for coming out.
Yeah.
And coming out and doing this show.
It's been really fun.
Out. No, thank you so much. It's always fun having someone come out and talk a little bit of tech, nerd, YouTube, geek news. It's crazy they went to high school together.
Oh my gosh.
That's what you figure out. You start talking and it's just like, wow, the things you can realize about yourself and other people. It's like, holy crap. Like, that's 2 years we spent around each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
That we had no idea.
That's so crazy. That's just crazy. Whatever the fuck.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. It'll be interesting.
I know.
It'll be like, we're done.
It's too wild. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Evelyn, for coming on. Thank you for helping us learn, grow, all that kind of stuff. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.
Thank you.